To introduce the command pattern, we're going to look at this SCV. If you watch how, if I click while holding down Shift, the SCV can take these multiple orders and do them one after another. So basically I'm commanding him to move, and then move again, move again, move again, move again, and he's following that path of commands. You can also set up commands like move, attack. So if I say move here, then attack there, he'll move, and then he'll come all the way back, and he'll attack, and then I can tack on a gather, so once he's done attacking, he'll go and gather a resource. So this tutorial is going to show basically how you can encapsulate these little actions like moving, attacking, and gathering into these reusable objects. So our demo is starting off with an SCV, this blue square, which when you click will move, hit 1, it'll attack, will rotation. When you hit 2, it'll gather, just a little scale animation. So click, attack, click, move, 1, attack, 2, gather. And you see our problem here is that as we start clicking around, you'll see that one click will interrupt the previous click, and one attack will interrupt the other attack, and everything is interrupting what previously happened. And we want everything to happen in order, just like in the SCV moving around before. So the way we have it set up now is we have an SCV, which is, that square, an attack tween, a gather tween, and a move tween. And when you click, it'll tell the SCV to move, key 1, attack, key 2, gather. So what we're going to do to fix this or to improve it is to introduce the command pattern. Basically, we can create something called an attack command. And this guy is just going to have a reference to the SCV. So we'll just say SCV is SCV. And this will be done through constructor injection. And then when you call execute on this guy, so execute, he will tell the SCV to attack. So it's pretty much one of the simplest patterns that are out there because all you're doing is encapsulating this attack into this execute command. And you have this attack command, which you can use at any time to just fire off. So for example, if I replace SCV attack with a new attack command, I pass in the SCV now. And I tell, let's create the attack command, and I say attack command execute. This will do the exact same thing as it was doing before because the attack command has a reference to the SCV, and whenever you call execute with the attack command, it will do that attack. So we'll move, and 1 will be attack, and you'll see that 1 still does the same thing that it did before. But now it's nice and encapsulated within this attack command. Now we're going to make the other commands, the move command and the gather command. So let's, every command in existence has this execute method. So we'll create an iCommand interface, which is probably the most popular interface in the world, iCommand. So you see the only thing in our interface is this execute. So anything that is an iCommand needs an execute. So we'll create, let's just copy and paste this attack command. Copy, paste, and we'll call this one gather command. And this is going to be really, really similar, but now the execute is going to be gather. It doesn't get much simpler than that. And then we will go back, copy, paste, and now we'll create our move command. This one's actually going to have 2 more parameters because it has the target X, which is a number, and the target y, which is a number. And those will also be passed in through the constructor. So target x and target y. This target x equals target x. And this target y equals target y. So now when we say SCV move, we can pass in the target x and the target y. So, same thing as the other commands. This one just happens to take a couple more parameters in the constructor so that when you tell it to move, it'll move. So if we go back to our gather, we'll create a new gather command, pass in the SCV, introduce the variable here. So gather command, execute. And then it's to SCV move. We'll do a new move command, pass in the SCV. I'm going to grab these two guys and paste. And create the move command, say move command, execute. So now, again, we're back to where we were before, moving, attacking, gathering, move, attack, gather. But instead of calling those methods directly on the SCV, we've encapsulated it into these command classes, which can be used at any time. So to prove that theory, let's create something like a command list and command list. So this command list, we can push commands into it. So anytime, instead of calling execute here, we'll say command list push move command. Instead of calling execute here, we'll say command list push attack command. And instead of calling gather command execute, we'll say command list push gather command. Now how we're going to execute each of these, so all of these commands are being stored in a command list, and I'm basically just going to set up a set interval. It's going to be the easiest way, and we'll just do execute command will be the name of our method. It's going to return nothing, and we're actually going to set this at an interval of 1 second. So every second we'll check if the command list length is greater than 0, meaning that there's a command available. Then pull the first command off as an I command. And this will be our command. And then call execute. So basically, this will take the command that's at the 0 position and call execute on it. So every second, we're just going to keep on pushing move commands, pushing attack commands, pushing gather commands into our command list. And every second, it's going to check if we have a command in our command list. And if we do, it's going to pull the first one out and then execute it. So if we look at this now, you'll see that I can click, 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 and it's doing them in order because it's checking every second to see if one's available. I could do click, click, 1, 2, or, click 1, click 2, click 1. And now we have, the commands working as expected. So basically, you can think of these commands as a fun way to explain it is as a little coupon. Here's this move command. You can use it later whenever you want to, or you can pass it. You can hand it over to someone else to take care of. You'll see commands in a lot of frameworks as things that should happen when something happens within your application. So you'll encapsulate that logic into the command and then wait for that event to fire for the command to trigger. Anyway, that's command pattern. And to take it one step further, I'll show you how to set up an asynchronous command, which will actually, instead of doing this at intervals, will execute the commands once the previous command has completed, which is the true desired behavior. It's just a little more complex and a little beyond the scope of just a simple command pattern tutorial. So to allow the commands to execute sequentially, one after another instead of on the timer like we had it before, we have to introduce a bit more complexity. So if you take a look at this command list, which is a new class instead of just having an array, anytime you add a command to this command list, it's going to add a complete callback saying whenever this command is done, try and execute the next command. It's going to push the command to the command array or stack, whatever you want to call it, and then it's going to attempt to execute. If it's the first one, it's going to try and execute it. If it isn't busy, then it'll execute it and pull the command off the stack and then execute it. Also, to see how that add complete callback works, we'll jump into the async command. So basically, you'll add a function that you want to be called once it's done, and whenever you call complete, it'll call that function. So for example, in our attack command, you see that the attack tween, we're going to grab attack tween. When we call attack, we're going to get a reference back to the attack tween that gets called. And then once that attack tween is finished, we'll call complete. So on complete, which calls complete. So back in the async command, that calling complete will trigger that callback, which is set in the command list. The async command really takes the command pattern one step further by introducing the when this command is completed, then do the next thing on the list to do. This is a really kind of simple rudimentary example of that. There are much more solid solutions around asynchronous commands that you can use in your applications or whatever you want to use them for. But basically, the logic is each command needs to know what should happen next, and then once whatever complete event is fired, it should call that what happens next. So I hope this has been helpful. It's very useful, and you'll see this type of stuff everywhere.